What up, though? Hola, mi gente. It's your host who in the neighborhood and the streets the most, Jay Hodge with InYourHood.com. And welcome to another episode, another news segment of Hood Sites. You already know what we're doing. Plugging you with information because we understand that everybody cannot sit down and source out information. Everybody don't seek out information, and everybody don't have the time to sit down and read information that they do not know about and information that they may need to apply it in their personal lives. Now, with that being said, you already know what we're doing. We disrupting the information that you do not know, and we giving you more extensive knowledge and information on things you may know. But for the most part, we're here to disrupt the information that you do not know. And before we dive into today's news segment, I want to begin by saying the Federal Open Market Committee and the Federal Reserve needs to be paid close attention to this week. This past week they have met, and this upcoming week they'll be meeting again. Different board members have different opinions and different strategies and ideas for what should be happening with the economy in the future and currently right now at its current what they deem to be recovering levels. But obviously in society nobody has recovered financially just yet. So make sure you check that out. They released the jobless claims. They're releasing data about the different aspects of society, whether it's GDP, whether it's jobless claims, whether it's job creation, and all those sorts of different things. More importantly, inflation, which affects you directly in your cost of living. So you want to pay attention to that. And now we're going to get into today's segment. Today's segment is called Unique Storefront Opens in Old Louisville to Address the City's Food Desert Issue. Continuing. Whitney Powers opened a store called Garden Girl Foods in response to a food desert issue in Old Louisville, Kentucky, according to WDRB. The Garden Girl Foods website states that all products are non-GMO ingredients, locally sourced and black-owned. Products, many of which are sold out, include everything from vegetable soup to raspberry jam. Customers can shop and schedule pickup times as well as sign up for cooking classes for adults and kids too. This is a quote in the words of the lady herself. After realizing my family lives in a food desert, meaning we don't have access to fresh food within 10 miles or more, I began a little garden. I quickly realized the need to teach others how to use their inner city spaces to grow their own foods and find ways to feed their family fresh, a statement says on the website. According to WDRB, Powers explains that people cannot always drive or walk blocks away for fresh food. Putting the store in Old Louisville and having fresh grocery and ready-to-eat options in addition to accepting EBT payment is very important. Popular items include fajita bowls, chicken, green beans, and macaroni and cheese. Another quote, "We are food manufacturers. We grow our own produce and then create the means around the produce," a Facebook post explained. Ironically, the concept of the Old Louisville storefront evolved during the pandemic. The Kentucky Daily News reported that the store, which started as a gardening quarantine project with her daughter, has now flourished with two new locations. Food insecurity and food desert issues have worsened during the pandemic. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, 89.5%, 116 million, of U.S. households were already food insecure throughout 2019. Food insecurity can be linked to being unable to acquire food or not having enough to meet the needs of all household members, according to the USDA. And that today is the end of the article and the end of today's news segment. So what we have here is the title, which is again, unique storefront opens in Old Louisville to address the city's food desert issue. The woman, the black woman of our cultural group and our culture, her name is Miss or Mrs. Whitney Powers in Old Louisville, Kentucky. So what elements are always inclusive and are always at the forefront of innovative things, and not only that, necessity businesses in our culture and in our communities? Cultural identity. She's a black woman, an African descendant woman. What does that mean? Within her culture, there are morals, values, and principles that she lives by. And what does that enable her to do? Identify her cultural challenges, constraints, and issues. And then what's next? Come up with a cultural creative solution for her cultural group. And then last but not least, flex her cultural power every step of the way going forward. And then also create that cultural advancement and progression as the legacy going forward in the future. Whitney Powers identified that food disparity is a very, very in-depth and grave issue in black communities, not just hers, but everywhere. And so because the moral values and principles of our culture is centered in and partially centered around food and the food we intake, she was able to identify a solution not only for herself and her household, but she took that solution for herself and her household that she created out of her cultural moral values and principles and cultural challenges, constraints, and issues, and she created a solution for herself that could be expanded throughout and resourced throughout her cultural group. So she has a farm to table store. She has a farm to table market that not only provides that food that's needed and that's in despair in our communities and in our culture, but also she prepares meals that are made from fresh, natural ingredients that benefits her cultural group in its health crisis that has been facing for decades. She realized that. And during the pandemic, what did that give her? Time and opportunity. Because that's what we have. We have time and opportunity to develop creative cultural solutions. And she did just that. But what do we also have? Awareness and consciousness. Awareness and consciousness. We have to be aware of what we're eating. We have to be conscious of what we're eating. We have to be aware of what we're choosing to spend our money on. And we have to be conscious of what we spend our money on. Have to be aware of our health, and we have to be conscious of our health. But more importantly, we have to be aware of the challenges, issues, and constraints in our community, and we have to be conscious of it when we're developing businesses, when we're developing solutions, and when we're actually exercising our creativity for the advancement and the progress of our culture. This is our cultural power. It's in our cultural identity. It's in our cultural morals and values and principles. It's in our global network. It's in our solutions, our cultural creative solutions. And of course, it's in our cultural advancements and progression. All of it is directly related. It's a direct relationship. And it's a step-by-step process that's very simple to follow, but that has to be lived by. And Miss or Mrs. Whitney Powers, with her Garden Girl Foods, has actually passed down those elements to her daughter, which is the next generation, that will advance the cultural group through a creative solution that her and her mother developed while right now she's at such a young age. This is necessary in every black community and is necessary on a global scale. So always, always, always be conscious, be aware, be conscious, be aware, be conscious, be aware. Because awareness and consciousness is what gets us to the cultural power that we have and that we have had since the beginning of time. Look at your cultural identity. We know what our cultural identity is. Okay, well, let's now look at the challenges. We only get to the challenges and issues and constraints because we have moral values and principles that we live by. And if that is being violated, we need to come up with a solution to rectify it. And then put an infrastructure in place to keep it growing for growth, advancement, progression. So, Garden Girl Foods is the name of the company. They do have a website. They are on Facebook. And again, it was founded and is operated by Whitney Powers and her daughter. And that is the end of today's news segment. Like I always say, www.inyourhood.com for the latest, greatest content, material, and updates. Streaming live on the website is our television series, Where is J. Hodge? The Journey in These Streets, streaming 24/7, live on the website, and also on our YouTube channel. In Your Hood YouTube channel can be found at J H-A-J-J, J Hodge. On the website, we also have a ton of material and information that you can educate yourself with and from. We have global black news. We have the true essence of black history. And we have local black news. And then we also have black businesses that you may have never heard of. And we are looking for more and pursuing and seeking out more, all sorts, all types, and all industries. Instagram, we can follow us at His Excellency _J. Hodge. And we have a segment and a series going on our In Your Hood's Instagram channel and Instagram page also. And last but not least, sign up for a free account to keep up with the latest, greatest news, updates, content, and material. And like I always say, I'm going to get on y'all tomorrow.